You're gonna serve somebody in a booth or on the street. You're gonna serve somebody. Every vote, every voice, every tweet might be the Lord, a dollar, or the folks who can't speak loud. You're gonna serve somebody. So say who you're serving now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Serve Somebody with Steve and Emily podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Steve Bradshaw, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Emily Halloway. Emily, how are you doing today?
I'm good today, Steve.
Good. What is on your mind?
Well, growing up as a Gen Xer and reading all the classics like 1984, George Orwell, I'm fascinated that we're at a point in society now where we are constantly being tracked. We've got our cell phones that know our location at all points. We've got flock cameras up all over town, cities across the country that are tracking license plates, tracking movement, cameras at gas stations, all of that. We've got Ring doorbells, so cameras are at houses across the country. There's probably not a single day, unless you're homebound, that you're not tracked. And, we're seeing this convergence now of authoritarianism, where there's access to this data, this camera footage. We're curious who's using it and what it's being used for. With this fight against data centers, where do you think all this footage is being stored, right? It's in these data centers. And we're starting to see some municipalities get rid of their flock camera systems and end their contracts. And I'm just curious from your point of view. I mean, when you were commissioner, you funded flock cameras, right?
I did. I was the first commissioner in DeKalb County to use discretionary funds to fund flock cameras. I was actually going back through some old notes in preparation for today, and I allocated an initial $75,000 to put flock cameras in a couple of real problem areas in my district, and that was derivative of the request from the community.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't dream it up on my own. They were concerned about some of the things going on there, and in consultation with the police chief and some of the data she had at the time, it made sense. So I was happy to do that. I was happy to lead that charge. But there's a point where it can go overboard. And, as I was thinking about today, I thought about that old quote from Benjamin Franklin, which I pulled up just to make sure I quote him properly, which says, "They who give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety."
That's a great quote.
And that resonated. So I don't know where the balance is, but it's got to be found somewhere. Because you're right. I mean, it's ubiquitous. The cameras are everywhere.
Yeah.
And our movements are being tracked probably more than we know.
And I do think it's time we actually have a public conversation about that. Safety versus liberty.
I couldn't agree with you more, and hopefully we'll get to the point where we can do that.
Yeah.
Maybe our guest today will have some thoughts on that.
Yeah.
We will see how that goes. But thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
We appreciate it. So before we get into it with our guest, I want to give a shout out to my good friend Al Davis and all the wonderful folks at Davis Manufacturing for sponsoring this program today. We really appreciate it. So today, we are honored to have as our guest former United States Marshal Thomas Brown. Thank you, Tom, for being with us today. As we begin, is there anything you would like to say?
Well, first of all, Steve, Emily, it's a pleasure for me to be here. I was just thinking about what Emily was saying. I'm saying, I go through the TSA line and I choose the option of just the optic ID, and I just walk up, I take my hat off. They scan me for 2 seconds and I walk right on through. And when I come back internationally, global entry, same way.
Yeah.
I just walk to the camera, takes a picture. I never talk to a human being. I just walk right on out unless they have some reason to stop me. And now, because of my age, and I like to travel a lot by myself, my kids track me on my phone. I have that. I want them to know where I'm at. So, You know, I understand what Ben Franklin is saying. But as you get older, I want people to know where I'm at.
Yeah, understood. Yeah. Well, thank you. So, Tom Brown and I go back a long way. He had a large role in me being able to serve in elective office for 8 years. So after my initial election defeat in 2012, I can tell you that I had no intention of running for office again. Been there, done that, didn't feel good. But it was a call that I received from Tom Brown in the early fall of 2014 that prompted me to reconsider. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, perhaps I will recount the full story of that someday in a book, but for now, our audience should know that I will always be grateful for that call. Now, years later, when the Biden administration nominated Thomas Brown to be a United States Marshal, I was honored to be listed as a reference. And when the FBI interviewed me as a part of that interview process, I don't think I said anything that was harmful. At least I hope I didn't.
I got the job.
You did get the job. In a long and remarkable career in law enforcement and public service, Thomas Brown has distinguished himself as a man of integrity and devoted himself to duty. I'm very proud to call him my friend. And again, we are honored, so honored to have him join us today. So, Tom, let's start with this. For the benefit of our audience, what does the United States Marshal do?
You think of a sheriff, you think of a marshal. The only difference is you don't have a jail. Federal government is so huge, departments for everything. So the Bureau of Prisons take care of the jail, which I was glad as U.S. Marshal because that's the beast of law enforcement in my opinion. Shout out to all of those sheriffs out there that just have a very difficult job if they're running a jail. But other than that, you know, I protect the courthouses. I protect the judges and the visitors therein. Any threat made against a judge, we do an assessment on that and decide what level of security, if any, will be given to that particular judge until we can remove that threat. And we chase the worst of the worst in terms of fugitives wanted by the federal system. I mean, nothing petty here. We're talking about very bad actors. And that's one thing I can say the U.S. Marshals is good at, is just finding a bad actor and putting them in jail. Through tracking, I might add, of all the various means, that's to our disposal to do so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we understand that you were recently fired by the Trump administration as U.S. Marshal. So I'm dying to hear the story behind this. So in your own words, please tell us what happened.
Well, let me start off by saying when you're appointed by the president in any presidentially appointed position, it's understood. You work at the pleasure of the president. The term for U.S. Marshals is 4 years, but if the president wake up 10 days after appointing you and decided he wants somebody else, that's the way it is. So we being U.S. Marshals, understand that, and you know we accept that when we get that particular telephone call. And I got the call one day from my director letting me know that I was being vetted by somebody else. I fully expected at some point in time to get that call. And essentially what that means to a U.S. Marshal, if he gets that call, is, okay, well, you can figure anywhere from 5 to 8 months, you know, you're going to be told, okay, your replacement has met all of the background requirements and they will be taking your place at the beginning of the next pay period. And that's how it normally works. I got the call. That's what I suspected was going to take place. Then a month later, the director called me up and said, well, your time is up. We got this guy that's going to take your place. He couldn't tell me the guy's name because he didn't know the guy's name. All he knew was that he was a retired state patrol trooper from the state of New Jersey. And but he was coming in under a unique title, the title of Special Assistant to the Attorney General assigned to the U.S. Marshal Service at the Northern District of Georgia. Now that was happening for me, the U.S. Marshal in Middle Georgia, and a third U.S. Marshal somewhere in the Midwest. I guess we were the test guinea pigs in this effort somehow. And so I asked the question, where is he going through the Senate Judiciary Committee as required by the U.S. Constitution? The Senate approve any nominations that the president want to give a presidential appointment to. Well, that didn't happen in this particular case.
Oh.
And because the Senate Judiciary Committee was not going to hear this person, was not going to review this person, was not going to vet this person. In other words, what we don't know within the federal system, that there's some strong backbone in the Senate on some things. And so there are a lot of mid-level presidential appointed positions that the Senate is just simply not going to entertain, which means the president does not get these appointments. And so President Trump decided that he's going to do it another way. He's going to change the title, and by executive order, he's going to do some things. And that's how he's testing the system. And I got from good authority from a federal judge that is probably illegal, but federal judges do not operate unless somebody challenge. But that will not stop the president from, relieving me from duties, because again, I work at the pleasure of the president. So when I was told that someone is coming on board and they were not going through the senatorial process, and the White House instructed the director to relay to me that I had sometime during the week, that was my last week, to turn in my resignation by the close of business Thursday, or I would be fired on Friday. And so my answer was short and sweet: fire me, because if you're not going to go through the same process that I didn't go through, then I just assume take the badge of honor and take the termination, which is what I did. So maybe a long answer, but to the short question, that's what happened.
I have so many questions. Okay, so first, how long were you in that role?
I was in that role for 3 years and 2 months.
Okay, so just a few months shy of when your term would be up anyway.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. So was it a surprise to you? Or I know you said you serve at the pleasure of the president.
Sure.
But
I knew when the president was elected that my time was limited. Anyone that had a target that said Joe Biden on it was going to be a target, because Trump just despised Joe Biden for whatever reason.
I see.
Yeah, so I expected that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the three of you that were terminated under this same thing, were they all Biden appointees?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you the only Biden appointees?
Say it again?
Were you the only Biden appointees?
Oh, no. All of us were Biden appointees. Every last one of us.
Oh.
Yeah, every last of the four that has since been terminated.
How many U.S. Marshals are across?
There are 98 U.S. Marshals across the United States. 98 of us. Yes.
98. But so were the other 94?
Many of them are still there. For whatever reason, they may have a Republican governor or Republican senators, and they say, leave this one alone. We're okay with this one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a U.S. Marshal don't make a lot of waves.
Right.
You ask the average guy on the street, who is your U.S. Marshal? They will not know. So.
So in terms of motivation, you do think it was because you were appointed by Biden?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was a U.S. congressman in Georgia who said, I know someone I would like to make the U.S. Marshal.
Got it.
And that happened for a fact for the Marshal in Middle Georgia in Macon, who was replaced by a retired sheriff from Walton County. He was very close to the Republican U.S. congressman who's running for U.S. Senate now, Buddy Carter.
Buddy Carter.
Yeah, and Buddy Carter wanted the sheriff from Walton County, and so that's how my friend Steve Lynn was replaced.
So first hearing it feels very authoritarian.
And it will be.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just a little bit of like, I know this guy who, a little bit of like, not nepotism, but, helping your friends out, get a job. But do you feel like this was an authoritarian move, and Trump really testing his ability to put marshals in that
Yes.
abide by his agenda?
Absolutely, yeah. The president is a very strong-willed individual. It's his way or the highway. He knows this is his last term as president. Regardless of the fact that he thinks he's going to, usurp the Constitution and somehow get a chance to run again, deep down inside, he knows that cannot and will not happen. And I think it's all in the playbook, 2025, in terms of the agenda that they're going to play out. And in addition to whatever personal motivation he has, and for whatever reason, the name Biden and Barack Hussein Obama just gets under his skin.
Yeah.
And he's circled by the two of them, and yeah, that's his way of doing things.
Whew. Okay, so you were
Isn't America great?
make some more jokes in there, but so you were appointed by Biden. How did that all come about?
That came about because I called Senator Warnock after he won the election, who I had a relationship with all the way back in his days as a low-paid staff person for Congressman Hank Johnson. And back when I was a public safety director and Hank was a congressman, I wanted to come talk to him about getting donated armored vehicle to transport my SWAT team into the DeKalb County Police Department. So I came to his office, and he wasn't there, but he sat me down with this young 20-something staff person by the name of John Ossaw, and we had a good 3-hour conversation about everything. And he remembered that I had forgotten about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but when he was elected U.S. Senate, I had helped him in his campaign, and picked up the phone and called him up and said, hey, I'd like to be the U.S. Marshal. Now the backstory to all of that was that I was going to do it under Barack Obama.
Oh, wow.
And had been vetted and was 30 days from the nomination, and decided that I didn't want to do it for two reasons. Number one, deep down inside, I wanted to run for Congress. And number two, the pension numbers for DeKalb County was not where I needed them to be. And so I ran for Congress, and I got the better end of the deal. I did not win. And I went on and retired because I got my numbers where I needed it to be. So I retired as sheriff of DeKalb County, and was retired some 10 years and thought that door had closed. And then Joe Biden beat Donald Trump the first term, and I said, uh-oh. And so I called John Ossaw and asked him to say, if it's any way possible, I'd like to have that position. And gosh, 2 months later, I had an interview with a group of people that he had put together. And a few weeks after that, I got a call from the Marshal Service saying we're the first leg of the process to do a thorough background check of your history to determine if you can move on through the process.
Wow. Yeah. When did you run for Congress?
That'll be 2016.
Okay. Mm-hmm. For which seat?
Hank Johnson's seat.
Oh, really? You ran
My friend Hank Johnson.
You ran against Hank.
And we're friends today.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
How'd you come out in that? I mean, obviously you lost, but...
I didn't lose by much.
Okay.
And I outraised him.
Oh.
Yeah. Law enforcement has one of these unique places where they cross both sides of the party line. And I was well liked by the Republican Party in DeKalb County, raised most of my money from the Republican Party. And in fact, the White House had called another former state senator in Georgia, wanted to know, who is this guy Thomas Brown, and why is he raising more money than Hank Johnson?
Yeah.
And White House was told, you won't have a problem with Thomas Brown if he wins. He's a good soldier.
Yeah.
And Obama stayed out of the race.
Oh, wow.
Yep, he stayed out of the race. But Hank had a good machine, and the way the system worked, PAC money,
yeah,
only incumbents get PAC money.
Yeah.
PACs know you're not going to give money to anyone that's running against the incumbent because if you do, we're going to make sure you don't get nothing that you want. Now that's what they tell them on the side. Right. And you can't take personal check from businesses. That's another way to keep the money. You know, it has to be a personal check.
Yeah.
And but I was able to raise the money.
So back to the U.S. Marshal role, what takeaways did you have from the time in that position?
That that Trump was right, that the deep, dark swamp of the federal government is real. Because you don't get anything done unless you make friends with the bureaucracy and you're able to navigate that system.
Wow.
Yes, it's a beast.
Huh.
Okay, so let's go back in time a little bit and talk about your time as sheriff of DeKalb County. You were first elected sheriff in 2001. Mm-hmm. So please share with our audience the circumstances around how that all came about.
I was going to run for CEO of the county before then, and but my wife at the time vetoed that idea. You know, we're a Democratic family, except she had absolute veto power, and she didn't want me to run because we had a daughter in middle school and a son in elementary school, and I didn't have a plan of providing for the family if I didn't win. Well, Steve, as you know, and Emily, as you know, you can't go to run for office with the attitude, I may not win.
That's right.
You know, you might not run for office.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I didn't run, and Vernon Jones was running, and he called me up, and for some reason in his mind, he thought that all of the white department heads would leave if he got elected, and he wanted to make sure I stay in the position to maintain some continuity. Mm-hmm. And my position was, well, I'm not going anywhere. I got 2 young kids to raise. And so I thought I was safe now in my seat. But then he won the election. I called him the next day. And you heard of the ice bucket challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like the ice bucket challenge. I called the next day. It was like somebody dumped a bucket of ice on me. And so he started insinuating, now you're not going to be around here long at all. And so I was already thinking, okay, well, let me start looking for fire chiefs openings across the United States because, I'd rather be a fire chief than a police chief. And this tragedy happened. I'm at Fernbank Science Center at Vernon's inauguration ball, and I'm waiting at the door, my wife and I, to leave, waiting for the valet to bring me in my car. And I'm standing next to Sidney Dortz and his wife Sherry. And he had just lost his election as the sheriff, and we're talking. I'm wishing him the best of luck, you know, and he had the best alibi in the world. You know, I'm at the ball, and I'm just sitting there talking with the sheriff. And I get home at about 11, and my phone rings around 11:20, and it's the 911 operator telling me that the sheriff-elect has been gunned down in his front yard. And so I rushed to the scene, only to meet them on the way, and walked into the emergency procedure room with the gurney carrying Derwin Brown's body, and get home at around 3 o'clock. And my wife obviously knew everything that had occurred. And I said, you know, I think I'm going to run for sheriff. And of course, she knew that I was going to have a job, you know, along with Vernon, and said, yeah, that'd be a good idea. And of course, I kept my mouth shut out of complete respect.
Yeah.
Until the appropriate time. But that's how that came about.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's so much about that story that's just like, everybody watching this is going to be like, she's had her jaw drop this whole interview.
And you can get the whole thing in the book.
In the book?
Yeah. I was at Vernon's inauguration.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
I can't remember why, but I do remember being there because it was at Fernbank, right?
It was at Fernbank,
right.
That's right, yeah.
I wish we could go back to 2001 and encourage you to run for CEO. That would change the shape of DeKalb County.
You know, Manuel Malouf and Leanne Levitan wanted so bad for me to run.
Yeah.
I had both of their endorsements. And Manuel called me and said, listen, this guy Vernon Jones is bugging me to death, but I'm not going to do it. You know, you need to run for this job. but my wife just didn't think I would win. And when Vernon won that night, she cried, she cried,
Oh, wow.
because she knew then, she said, I know now you would have won that race.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, and the Derwin Brown situation was a tragedy, a stain on DeKalb County for sure. Didn't Sidney Dorsey just pass away?
He passed away.
In prison, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
And that sentence was structured that he was going to die in that prison.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually visited him twice.
Oh my goodness.
While he was in prison, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What did he say to you?
Well, I wanted to know, number one, why.
Yeah.
And he gave me his reasonings, and but then he swears that he called it off, and that Cuffy went rogue and did it on his own.
Oh my goodness.
That I don't believe.
Yeah.
But that's his story, and he stuck with it until the day he died.
Wow.
And
Unbelievable.
and I wanted to ask him, why was I on this hit list of people he wanted to have killed?
Yeah.
And I knew that he wanted me on the list because I told him I was going to run for sheriff, and he knew that I would be a very vulnerable candidate if I ran against him. And but nobody in his right mind think you can kill the DA, a news reporter, and the next opponent for sheriff against you and get away with it.
Wait,
Yeah.
you were on his hit list?
Yeah, I was number 3 in this hit list, which is way down the pecking order, by the way, I might add.
Well, who's number 2 on the hit list?
Dale Caldwell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The reporter. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Holy
Unbe-
moly.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Bad dude.
And you know where you can read the whole story.
In your book.
So
You're making a good sell for this book. I got to
so-
give that to you.
we'll move forward. You got to serve as DeKalb County Sheriff for 4 terms.
Yes. 4 good terms.
What do you consider your biggest accomplishments as Sheriff of DeKalb County?
We were under a class action lawsuit for inadequate health care for inmates when I first went in. And a number of other jails across the country was under a similar court arrangement, but theirs was in the federal government. Mine was in the Superior Court of DeKalb County. So it was much easier for me, but it took me a 4-year quest to be able to articulate, we meet community standards. And that's the thing you have to define that a lot of sheriffs miss. If you're providing the same level of health care as the community standard is, then you're meeting the acceptable standard. And that can be a moving target. So Paul Wiesner, who was the former health department director in DeKalb County for a million years, and another person that died by the sword of Vernon Jones cuts and people got rid of. He was a big help in helping me navigate that. And once I was able to receive national accreditation from the appropriate health care accreditation firm that the health care in our jail met community standards, then I can become a lot more vocal about we need to remove this cloud out from over us because we're doing a good job in DeKalb County. And once we got that removed and had a few of our programs to receive the coveted, what's the term I want to use, gold star standard that other jails should be following, then that set us on pace to be a correctional facility that people can look to as a well-ran facility. And it was because we kept the same bureaucracy of folks in that jail who came up into that system who wasn't looking to be political in any way. They were just looking for a job every day. And we didn't get rid of not a soul. And because we knew they knew that jail. And any new sheriff coming in, if he didn't come in through the system, he don't know or she don't know the jail.
Right.
And if you don't have somebody to run that jail, then you got a losing battle, from the get-go, so to speak.
Has it been able to maintain that status?
Well, you asking me a political question now, and one of opinion. I would say it has been very difficult.
Yeah.
With the advent of the killing of George Floyd,
Yeah.
it turned a lot of people against law enforcement in general.
Yeah.
The inappropriate ideology of a lot of elected officials that correctional officers does not deserve a pay anywhere similar to a police officer has resulted in a recruitment effort by sheriffs to be a very difficult one. And you put that into just doing a general background investigation for a correction officer, it's hard to find good people.
Yeah.
Because number one, you're not paying enough money to attract good people. And because of that, you unfortunately, and I don't mean this in a bad way, find a lot of jails where more and more the core workers are females, where that's not a good mix if most of your clientele are real bad males.
Right.
And so that makes it very difficult for sheriffs to do the kind of recruitment that they need to do.
Yeah. So during your term, did you have any disappointments?
I had my disappointment was not getting along with the governing authority at the time. And, you know, I went in as sheriff the same day Vernon Jones went in as CEO. And he ran his board of commissioners very similar to how Donald Trump ran the U.S. Senate. And so it took me a few years to finally, you know, get to the point that I had to tell him publicly he need to get in his lane and stand down and get out of the interference of the sheriff's office. Now, as I try to teach these young guys, when you step into elected officials, you learn how to govern first, and you learn how to get along, just as important as number one, because they do write the check for your purse strings. And you want to try that first. I had a good relationship with the Board of Commissioners, but it was kind of hamstringed by a Class A personality, Chief Executive Officer. And I think once I stood up to him in a public way, then it became a lot more easier dealing with the Board of Commissioners. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a piece of work, that guy. I'll leave it at that. So you began your career in law enforcement in 1989?
No, I began my career as a firefighter in 1972.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I started out as an Atlanta firefighter, and I stayed there for 13 years and progressed up to the rank of deputy fire chief. And in 1985, Manuel Malouf, the Lebanese immigrant, bartender, chairman of the Board of Commissioners of DeKalb County, was looking for a new fire chief. And Dick Hand was the public safety director charged with finding acceptable candidates. And Manuel told him in no uncertain terms, interview who you want to, bring me a couple of candidates to interview, but one of them would be this Tom Brown guy in the city of Atlanta. And so I applied for the job and had the interview with Director Hand, had the interview with Manuel Malouf, walked into his office for the interview for the first time, and he was eating some cheese crackers and drinking a Coke. And I'm standing there waiting for him to say, sit down. Greta DeWall, who was the executive assistant, came into the room and sat down and looked at me and motioned to sit down in the chair. And I sat down, and he was looking at my resume, and he threw it down on the table and said, who in the hell do you think you are coming in here applying for this job, and you're not but 32 years old? And I saw immediately he was trying to upset me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I just kept my composure, and I just went on and answered his question the best that I could. And he asked me to say, you have any kids? I said, yes, sir, I have a daughter. She's 1 year old. He said, what would you do if one of the firefighters were to call her a nigger? And I say, well, Mr. Malouf, I think that's when I can show that the power of the pen is more powerful than the fist. And he just kind of sat back and smiled. And we went on then to have a genuine conversation.
Wow.
He wanted to know, would I go back to Atlanta if I gave him this job? I say, no, sir, I think I'd rather keep this job if I get it. And after we finished the interview, he called Andy Young, because I was being interviewed for the city of Atlanta at the same time, and Andy was the mayor. He called this young lady who was Andy Young's chief operating officer by the name of Shirley Franklin.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And he called a young city councilman by the name of John Lewis. And he called the president of the city council, Marvin Arrington. All four of them knew me, and all four of them had nothing but good things to say about me. And Andy asked Manuel, say, I want to hire this other guy named Bill Hamer, but Shirley and George Napper wants me to hire Tom Brown. I'd rather hire Hamer because he was kind of involved in the civil rights movement, the first black Atlanta firefighter. And if you can wait 2 weeks after I name Hamer, you know, it won't look like I got the second choice. Manuel said, okay, I'll do that. Andy hired Hamer. 2 hours later, Manuel announced me as the fire chief in the cab.
So much for 2 weeks.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Great story. So I'll return back to your time as sheriff. You've had some time away from that. But straightforward question. Does DeKalb County need a new jail?
I don't think they need a new jail. Now, I think they need about $150 million to fix that infrastructure. That jail is a large commercial or warehouse building that's designed to last a lot longer than 30 plus years. The house I live in right now is probably 60 and it's doing just well.
Yeah.
So, you know, you go in and you get rid of the mold that was allowed to grow because they didn't give them money to replace the roof, and get all of that mold out of there, and fix the leaky plumbing, repair the locks, put in new chillers, and anything else that an expert in commercial buildings determine needs to be repaired, do that. $150 million sound a lot better than $1 billion for a jail that they're kind of coming up with these days.
Yeah.
And that jail, when we built it, by the way, was $125 million back in the, I want to say, early 80s when they passed that bond referendum by Pat Jarvis. So we don't need a new jail. We just need some money to take care of that jail.
Okay.
And take that out of the hands of the sheriff, because the sheriff don't own the jail. The Board of Commissioners own the jail. And so the Board of Commissioners have to infuse the money and put a person or a department in charge of looking out for the infrastructures in DeKalb County, whether it's fire stations, jails, governmental buildings, health clinics, library. You know, if you own it, you take care of it.
Right. Yep. Understood. Well, thanks for being straightforward in your answer to that question. We're going to pull the lens out a little bit further and talk about law enforcement in the macro sense. So, in your opinion, what's the state of law enforcement in America right now?
It's getting better. It's getting better. Crime is going down. The police chiefs today are much more progressive than police chiefs of the past. They're there more as not as a warrior, but a partner in working with the community to get things done. And so law enforcement is in much better shape from a community standpoint, and it really took a beating after George Floyd. But it's getting much better now. And you look around in the metropolitan Atlanta area, for sure, the police chiefs that are out there are good chiefs for the big departments. I don't know that much about the ones in the smaller departments.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, I was really kind of heartened to see, particularly in Minneapolis, when it came to ICE coming in, it was the local police that was really supporting the community. I thought that was really a 180 from where we'd been. So if you had it within your power to make a reform across law enforcement, what would that be?
Oh, wow. I would go back to the flock cameras. I put that all around. Because they have their place. Continue the community-oriented efforts that are taking place where law enforcement is working as partners with the communities and not as warriors in a reactive way. We'll come in once you call 911. No, be there in the beginning. Work with them hand in glove. Help educate them to call anything you see that looks suspicious. That's been the buzzword for the last at least 15 years, and continue and grow on that. That's what's needed.
So expand on that, Tom. The community-oriented policing. I mean, what are the elements of that? How do you get the community to trust law enforcement? I mean, how do you make that work?
You get leadership of the police department, and I use the example of the precinct commander.
Okay.
That would go into those communities and look for the informal leaders. You find them, you win them over, they'll bring everybody else along. Well, once you do that. When I first went in there as public safety director, I had a young lady who was Manual's community relations director by the name of Polly Meriwether Lewis. She came to my office on day 3 with the executive director of the DeKalb Housing Authority. And I thought they wanted to come and sit down in my office and have a meeting. They get to the office and say, we want you to come with us. And they took me over to Toby Grant Manor, the original one.
Wow.
And
yes.
Showed me obvious open air drug dealings, open air prostitution. I didn't see not one elderly person sitting on the porch. A lot of individuals that I knew didn't belong into that community. And from there, develop a plan very quickly with the executive director of the Housing Authority, where we infused that area, and it was a small area, with 5 police cars for at least 2 hours, 3 times a day. And then when I say a day, I mean a 24-hour period, to literally stop everything that moved, that didn't belong in that community, and why are they there. And in 5 days, we kind of shut that down as quickly as Donald Trump shut down the border. You just put a lot of people in there and seal it off. And then from there, we grew. We brought the fire truck in the hot summer months to open up the fire hydrants to cool off the kids in the streets, have a big playground. We went to an old park that was across the street, down the street from the old original Hamilton High School, and got with then director Becky Kelly, who was the parks director, to clean up this particular field and made it a first-class baseball field. Put in new bleachers, new fence. The community had barbecues there. They got a little small softball league, and we just built trust. And so when you get the informal leaders knowing the precinct major or captains or lieutenants by first name, because they're required to be in there all the time, well, what happened to your crime rate? It goes down. And so now you're thinking of the next big thing we can do just to bring everybody together and be happy. And that's what needs to happen.
Outstanding.
I think I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. So you've alluded to your book a couple of times already.
Did I say something about that already?
You did. So you're the author of this wonderful book, Crossing Bridges, The Bridge to the Truth. So what's the significance of that title? What does that mean to you, and how did you come about coming up with that title?
Well, I had a lot of people, because I'm so active on Facebook, every once in a while I get this philosophical thought about something that's going on, and I just, warning long posts, and I just put my opinion about something that I think someone may be interested in. And so many people say, you should just write a book, you should write a book, And so once I turned 70, I decided, okay, now is the time. Now's the time, and I sat down with a great publicist. Her name is Sharon Willis. She has written 5 or 6 books herself, in addition to writing plays and doing musicals and things of that nature. And she helped me over a 4-month period to put that together. And I wanted to talk about, number one, my legacy, because I have a rich legacy. As I like to say to people, I'm Thomas E. Brown Jr. I'm the son of Thomas E. Brown Sr., who is the son of Sylvania T. Brown Jr., who is the son of Sylvania Tyler Brown Sr., who is the son of Thaddeus Brown, who is the son of Polly Brown, who is the son of William Brown Jr., who's the son of William Brown Sr., who's the son of Abraham Brown Jr., who is the son of Abraham Brown Sr. We trace all the way back, documented, with free men of color from England who fought in the American Revolution for the Americans.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Unlike my mother, where I'm the son of Rosa Bell Brown, who is the son of Belle Stapleton Brown, who is the daughter of Mittie Brown, who is now unknown what goes past there because she lays in an unmarked grave somewhere on the Stapleton plantation in McDuffie County. So
wait, you're Brown on both sides of your family?
No. I'm sorry. Did I say Brown? No, it was a Brownum on the other side.
Okay.
Yes. And so I know my legacy, and I wanted to talk about that because I think that was important for whatever Brown child comes after me, and to know, because so many people don't know where they come from or who their relatives are. Unfortunately, I know. So I want to talk about that. I talk about my family and the challenges we had in family life and things of that. But mostly I want to talk about my professional life, how I got started, how I came out of high school as a fair student. I see my way out of high school. I didn't have a clue on what I wanted to do in life. And I fumbled around from job to job to job as an 18-year-old, lost, not knowing what I was going to do. Until one day at age 19, I walked into an Atlanta firehouse at 3 in the morning and sat down with a firefighter and just started asking him about his job. Huh. And so when I'm delivering mail for the old CNS National Bank, whenever he was at work every third day and I saw him in there, I would stop by that firehouse for about 30 minutes just to listen to him tell me war stories. And that's when I decided I wanted to be an Atlanta Fire Department. And so from there, various things happened, and I went through the ranks very quickly in the Atlanta Fire Department, very quickly, and got an opportunity to apply in DeKalb County and became the sheriff and did some significant things, had some challenges. I came up in the era, born in the 50s, but I was used to seeing civil rights legends as just everyday people.
Yeah.
I remember going to Ebenezer Baptist Church to see Nelson Rockefeller speak on the Men's Day sermon. It's where I first met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, I'm 9, 10 years old, and he didn't know me from Adam's apple. But I got a chance to shake his hand and look me in the eye briefly before he immediately went on to somebody else. Wow. To seeing Stokely Carmichael at the old the Barbecue Heaven on Old Hunter Street, which is now Martin Luther King. Had my challenges with police officers speaking harshly toward me as a young teenager. And, so I kind of seen some things, but everything that I did from a positive standpoint was crossing the bridge, moving to the other side of the bridge and making some things happen. Even to going to college right out of high school to be an architect and flunking out the first year, and mother saying, you got two options. You can get a job or you couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
And that's when I got out there and fumbled around until I turned 20 and got on the Atlanta Fire Department. And that was crossing the bridge. Becoming a fire chief was crossing the bridge, going back to school and getting a college education, that was crossing the bridge. And every little major thing or hurdle that I learned in life in dealing with personality clashes, two powerful men butting heads with each other, trying to see, how do we make this happen? We're all African Americans in a rapidly growing African American county. What do we want to look like? So who's going to be the better man on this kind of deal? With that, in its many ways, it's crossing a bridge, and so that's that book. Among a lot of things that it talk about, it also, in my opinion, is a black history lesson of what happens in an African American community when all of a sudden everybody that have a position of any kind of significance happen to look like each other. And now we're going to work together or we're going to work against each other because we want to see who's going to be the head African American in that position. Say it in a nice way.
Yeah, you put it nicely, Tom.
Okay, so other than that point, what do you hope readers take away from your book?
A couple of lessons. Number one, you just don't give up. You just never ever give up, because I had plenty of opportunities to give up. I could have been that same guy out there holding a sign saying hungry will work for, well, not work for food, because we don't put up a sign say we'll work for food. We put up a sign ask for some money because we're hungry or we don't have a job. That could have been me had I not, just kept it, and kept trying and trying and trying. That's a good takeaway there. And the other one is, once you're there, you always reach back. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people back there that, as people helped me along the way. I didn't have a strong father figure. My father was an alcoholic at a very young age, and he left his job at a very young age to do nothing but stay in the house and smoke and drink and ran numbers. And so I found my male mentorship in other men who were very positive. And those kind of men are out there, and that helped me a lot. And so you have to look in the right places on who you're going to look to. And so the education that I should have got that I didn't get, I made sure that my kids got it, and I was there to support them, and they got everything they needed to get that education.
Well, on that note, why don't you talk about your family? Tell us about your family.
Okay, well, I have 2 grown adult kids. My daughter Brittany is a neonatologist.
Aww.
Who told me in the 7th grade that she wanted to be a baby doctor.
Aww.
And my life started right then, looking for every opportunity that I can help her with that. Being in the position that I was in at the time, I was a public safety director, and I asked the guy that ran the morgue, hey, do you mind if my daughter do an unpaid mentorship at the morgue? Only thing I want her to do is just sit there and watch her do autopsies. And so she got a lot of experience in doing that. My son, who didn't have a clue on what he wanted to do, was diagnosed very early on with something called audio processing. And long story short, he was good on things that was black and white. Math, he just excelled in. Certain sciences, he excelled in. But you have him do other things that's a lot more abstract, and he would struggle with that until we got him the necessary help to learn how to manage that kind of deficiency, which I believe to this day that a lot of young kids that are in school in special education program, because they have not been diagnosed correctly. And I believe they have audio processing. And had it not been for the strong will of my wife at the time, Yolanda, who knew something was not right and stayed with him to make sure he got the help that he needed, that we both had jobs where we had the resources to get him that help, and the internet was just coming into play and played a huge role into that for him. So now they're both doing good. They've given me 5 grandbabies who I am really enjoying chasing from age 12 to 1 next this coming Sunday.
Yes.
And so I am enjoying them. And life is good in this chapter of my life now.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Yolanda.
Yes.
Was she the same wife that encouraged you not to run for CEO?
That she would be the same wife. Yeah. Now we, as many couples do, have since kind of parted ways and started our own new chapters in life. But when I think about the things that she stepped in and did as the wife or the mother, that contributed significantly in terms of how significant our legacy would go on past that.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Well, now for some fun. Steve and I often talk about our favorite movies. Do you have a favorite movie?
Oh, wow. You know what? Last night I looked at, for the 3rd time, Denzel Washington movie. It's the one where somehow or another he found a way to go back into time, and he helped this young lady to, number one, not get killed, and to stop this guy that was going to bomb some ship that's carrying hundreds of people on it. But once he came back to the time period after that was over with, he don't remember himself. any Denzel Washington movie is a good movie.
Did you like Training Day?
I did like Training Day.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah,
I interrupted.
and I'm old tracky. I like Star Trek movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I like the old one with Spock and Kirk and all of those guys, the original Kirk. But I don't go to movies anymore. You know, I don't do that. So I don't know if I have a favorite one.
I was big into Next Generation.
Okay.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my man.
Well, you must be a millennial.
Yeah,
Well.
James Tiberius Kirk will always be the greatest captain of the Starship
I'm in
Enterprise.
between X and Millennium.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, Tom, in that vein, do you have any celebrity crushes you want to share with us?
Celebrity crushes.
Yeah, any Hollywood stars that, you drop everything for. How about that?
No, I don't think so. I think as Lionel Richie would say, there are a few of them out there that'll make you wish for younger days. But I won't go there.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll stop.
And I hear Halle Berry is not the best person to get along with.
Oh, really? It's interesting you say that, because she's come up a couple of times when we put that question to our guests.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well,
interesting.
I hear she can be strong-willed.
Okay, all right. Well, we won't pursue that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so for anyone thinking about a career in law enforcement or public service, what advice would you give them?
Do it. Just go out there and just make sure your heart is in the right place on it. Attach yourself to a mentor very early on in your career. Don't forget the oath that you took and what you're supposed to do, because there are a lot of officers out there that say, I know you was trained this way, but this is how we do it. Be careful with that. It can be and will be a very rewarding career. Talking about crossing bridges, I only wanted to be a firefighter at age 40 and then ride that out until I can retire. Well, I said firefighter, I meant fire chief. By 40, I wanted to be a fire chief. Well, I ended up making fire chief at age 32. And so that shot that goal out the window. And 10 years later, I was a public safety director, not knowing anything about law enforcement. I applied for the job because I knew it to be an administrative job, and I had a police chief. But I had a police chief that was an old school police chief. And he created a lot of challenges for me and a lot of bridges that I had to cross that you will find very interesting in the book. Some of those challenges. Once I became a public safety director, I thought that was it. Then I fell into being the sheriff. Now that you talking about something that makes you political, that made me very political, and those were bridges crossed. And so going back to your question, you jump in there, you do it, you find the right mentor, and once you find that right mentor, be ready to hold on, because you don't know which way your life is going to turn for the positive if you do all the right things from a positive standpoint. Yeah.
That's great.
Excellent. So as we kind of get ready to wind down, Tom, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
I started young in my career, and I finished at a ripe old age where it was an adjustment to be the first that did a lot of things to all of a sudden, now you're the statesman, the people come to you for advice. Now that my public life is gone and I'm in a whole new chapter, I would say those who are pending retirement, there are a couple of things you need to do. You need to make sure you find a way to fill that void of not getting up every day. Okay, so now what am I going to do? And I've been blessed to figure that out and find other passions that I like to do. I love a good game of golf. I love to travel, and I love watching my grandkids grow and contribute to that growth. And in many respects, someone entering the phase that I am, I call it a pizza, and you cut that pizza in 4 squares. Well, I'm on the last square, and it's the most enjoyable square. Watching them grow, continue contributing to that growth, and and doing the things that you want to do, and how you save for retirement. It's one hell of an adjustment, Steve, moving from save to spend.
Yeah, for sure.
I find that difficult sometimes.
Yeah. You're going to figure it out. You're going to be all right. Well, thank you for that. So just to compliment you, I think your publisher will be very proud that you pitched the book several times during this interview. So well done.
Just remember, if I can, thomasbrown.book2024@gmail.com.
Excellent.
Thomas Brown.
There you go.
.book2024@gmail.com. And I'll tell you how to order this book. It's a good read.
All right. Outstanding. Well, I'm enjoying it so far. I will tell you that. So thank you, Marshal Brown, for sharing your insights with us today. It has been informative. It's been fun. I hope it's been fun for you as well. And we are so glad that you took the time to join us today. Emily, thanks again for sharing this foxhole with me. I appreciate it as always. Is there any closing comments that you have today?
Well, I moved to DeKalb County in 2001. And so hearing all your stories today does make me want to borrow this book when you're done with it. Steve, can I borrow it?
Sure. I think we can make that happen.
Okay, great.
Happy to do so.
But yeah, great talking with you. Thanks
Thank
so much
you.
for joining us.
It was good.
Outstanding. Well, thanks again to Davis Manufacturing for sponsoring today's program. We're always grateful. And to our team here at the Scottdale Podcast Cafe. They do an outstanding job in supporting us. And for our audience, if you have any ideas about possible guests or future topics, please visit our website and drop us a line at servesomebodypodcast.com or via social media. Also note that our episodes are available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. We understand that time is the most valuable resource that any of us have. So we are sincerely thankful to you for spending some of your precious time giving us a listening ear. We will never take that for granted. These are indeed serious times. So until the next time, just remember to think for yourself and don't fall for the show. Goodbye.
You're gonna serve somebody in a booth or on the street. You're gonna serve somebody. Every vote, every voice, every tweet might be the law, the dollar, or the folks who can't speak loud. You're gonna serve somebody. So say who you're serving now.